In this video, we're looking at the practical aspects of configuring CloudConnexa. We're going to look at a use case, which is our remote users accessing our network hosted on AWS. We're going to talk about that in a second. But first, let me talk about CloudConnexa. What is CloudConnexa? CloudConnexa is a cloud-based virtual networking platform with the built-in security functions. We make the service accessible from over 30 worldwide points of presence or regions which they are connected to our high-speed core network using full mesh topology. You can connect your applications, private networks, remote users, and IoT devices without a complex hard-to-scale hardware. With CloudConnexa, you can implement a zero trust network access or ZTNA to all applications and the internet, as well as site-to-site networking while enforcing identity-based access control, preventing malicious network connectivity, and providing protection by blocking malicious website access. As soon as you sign up and choose a network cloud ID, you get access to a virtual network. This network is dedicated for your use only, and nobody else can access it. We call this Wide Area Private Cloud, or WPC. You're going to hear me mentioning WPC number of times throughout this demo. This WPC can be configured through the admin portal or admin UI, which you're going to see that in a second. We created CloudConnexa administration portal to take the complexity out of the network configuration. Thanks to our wizards application domain-based routings, users don't need to remember IP addresses. You don't have to do IP routing or be security expert to securely connect your users, IoT devices, networks, or applications, no matter where they are. Our use case that we're going to look at today is basically what you see on this slide. We have remote users, or they need to connect to our network, which is hosted on AWS with a couple of servers, time card server, which hosts time card app, and accounting server, which hosts accounting app. We want to make sure contractors access only time card app, and accounting team can access only accounting app and nothing else. The steps that we need to take, we're going to look at from the beginning. First, we need to sign up for the CloudConnexa. Then we're going to look at the subscriptions. Then we're going to connect our network by installing connector on AWS. Then we're going to configure application services, DNS, create groups, create users, create access groups, enable Cyber Shield. And at the end, we're going to connect and test. So in order to sign up, we need to head out to our website. So you go to openvpn.net. Once you're on the website, you have multiple options. Either click on Get Started, Create Account, or Log In. If you don't have an account, it's going to get you to the place that you need to create an account. As you can see on the screen here, the two products, CloudConnexa and Access Server, is available. Obviously, we're talking about CloudConnexa, so I'm going to click on Create Account under CloudConnexa. Now here I need to enter my email address and type a password or create a password so I can sign up for an account. So I'm going to type my email address here and I'm going to create a password and confirm the password. Then you can check that box that says that I like to receive exclusive content, including tutorials, guides, and more. If you would like to receive those, check that box and click on sign up. Now there is a confirmation code being emailed to you. You need to type this confirmation code here so we can confirm your identity. Let me go to my web mailbox here. It's the email and the code is 570918. So I'm going back to the page and I'm going to type the number 570918 and it is confirmed. Again, we're presented with the two products, Access Server and OpenVPN Cloud. Keep in mind, OpenVPN Cloud is the CloudConnexa, is the old name for CloudConnexa. This page is going to be updated shortly, but we're going to click on OpenVPN Cloud, again, CloudConnexa. So the following page is going to ask for some information about your identity. I'm going to fast forward through this and then come back when it's done. Okay, I'm done. Click on continue. And this is where we're going to choose a cloud ID or create our WPC name. Now, again, keep in mind this ID cannot be changed. So you may want to choose something that it's going to be permanent. So I'm just going to choose the CloudConnexa 2023-2 and then click on Create WPC. And once done, we're going to get redirected to our admin UI or admin portal. The first page you're going to see is a quick start. As you can see, there are instructions tab by tab or chapter by chapter. For example, here, download the client. Then you click on next chapter. You're going to see how to define your network, deploy your connector, and so on as you move on through the chapters. So this is a good place to start. Again, is the step-by-step instructions how to configure this portal based on your environment or for your environment. The CloudConnexa is bundled with 3 free concurrent connections. If you need to have more than 3 free connections, you click on this button that says upgrade your plan. And if you don't see this button, click on this drop down next to your Cloud ID. Once you click on the drop down, you're going to get an option that says edit subscription. Here where you can choose the number of concurrent connections that you would like to have. Just move the sliders up and down to get to the number that you would like to have. And then you need to choose if you want to be billed annually or you want to be billed monthly. Once you're happy with your selection, all you have to do, you need to click on update on the bottom of the page and enter your credit card information. For the purpose of this video or this demo, we're going to just keep it as 3 free connections. Now, going to the portal, the very first thing that we're going to look is the status page. The status page is a good place to get some information about your environment. Right now, you don't see anything here because this is a brand new environment we just created. Now, once we start having active networks, active users, and things are happening, we can see what's going on. And if there is any issue, we can come here to look. You can also email some information to yourself or to the admin by clicking on this button. It's going to export the CSV file. There are some of the information that it's available on status page is going to be emailed to you, so you can get that through the email also. Now, looking at our steps, we needed to sign up, so we did that. We talk about the subscription. So the next step is basically connecting your network. And now we're going to go through the network wizard on the admin UI and install the connector on AWS. Going back to admin UI. So first thing, we're going to click on network, expand that menu, and then click on networks. As you can see, there are multiple options here: remote access, site-to-site, secure internet access. If you would like to learn more about each, click on that question mark next to it, and you're going to see a diagram of that option. For example, remote access, we just saw it, site-to-site, this is a diagram, and kind of explain what each is. Now, you can choose all 3, you can choose just 2, or you can choose just 1. For the purpose of this demo, I'm just going to use remote access because that's the only one I need. So once you choose that, then click on continue. The next page is where we're going to define our network and create or add a connector. So first we need to give a name to our network. Just going to name it CloudConnexa AWS. And then we need to add a connector. So let's go ahead and name the connector. I'm just going to name it CC AWS Connect. This way I know which one it is. And then click on, or choose the region. My AWS is on US West, so I'm going to choose Los Angeles. But you can add other connectors with different regions. It's actually nice is for redundancy, but I'm going to click next here. Now, here where we're going to deploy our connector. If you click on the drop down where it says connector type, you're going to see options that where you can deploy your connectors. Basically, all the major cloud providers, operating systems, VPS providers, and some compatible routers. Now, each one, either one that you choose, you're going to be presented with instructions and package that to download. For example, if I choose Windows here or Windows operating system, you're going to see that I have a package to download, which is our Connect app, and there are a couple of instructions how to run the Connect as a service, and so on. If I choose, for example, DigitalOcean, you can see there is a description of how to sign up and create a droplet and then run the script to install the connector on DigitalOcean. There is a video instructions as well. One side note here, if you sign up here, you get $100 credit on DigitalOcean that you can use on your account. Now, if I use a compatible router, again, there is a profile that you can download and instruction how to deploy that profile and install your connector. When it comes to the cloud providers, one nice thing is that you can launch it automatically on their platform. For example, if you use Azure, as you can see, I can just launch it on Azure, but since our network is on AWS, I'm just going to choose AWS and I'm going to launch it on AWS. So as I mentioned earlier, my AWS region is US West 1, so I'm going to type that here, and then I'm going to click on launch to launch it on AWS or launch my connector on AWS automatically. Now, once you, if I don't want to launch it automatically, I can download the CloudFormation templates from here and launch it manually, but it's easier to do automatically. So I'm going to click on launch, and this is basically going to place me in the create a stack or quick create a stack. Now, here you need to enter the information regarding your VPC, your network, the network that you've already set up. So I'm going to do it the way that I set up my VPC, which is a lab environment. First of all, we're going to give a name to this stack. So this way I can distinguish this stack from the rest of them. So I just call it CloudConnexa stack. Then I'm going to name my connector. I'm going to name it the same as same name that I chose on my admin UI. And then for the instance type, I'm going to just leave it as it is, but make sure you choose a type that is appropriate for your environment and your network. I already have an SSH key name, so I'm going to use my SSH key here. If you don't have a key, you need to create one and add it here. So let me go ahead, add mine. And then when it comes to SSH location, I'm going to leave it as default here. But again, please make sure that you enter the appropriate IP address range that you need to have for your SSH location. Then VPC, I'm going to add my VPC. Again, this is something that I've already created. You should have one. If you don't, go ahead, create your VPC and then come and add it here. Oops, I'm typing it in the wrong place. Let me go back here. And then here, I'm going to choose my VPC. Same thing goes for the subnet. I already have my subnet for my VPC, so I'm going to choose the appropriate subnet here. And then I'm going to leave the rest for as a default, whatever it is. Now, the last thing you need to check this box, and the reason to check this CloudFormation IAM is to allowing CloudFormation to create route managed role IAM role resources. This role basically configures routes in the VPC route table to use the connector. Once you're done, you can go ahead and click on create stack. As you can see, the creation is in progress. This is going to take a few minutes, so I'm going to stop the video here and come back when it's done. Okay, as you can see, the stack creation is completed and my stack is completed. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to my EC2 portal or dashboard so I can see this new connector. Now, as you can see, the new connector here at the end, it's installed. And this is the CCAWS connector. Now it says initializing. This is going to take a minute, so I'm going to just refresh this page, and hopefully this happens quickly so I can move forward. And here we go. Everything is done and is checked. So let's go ahead, head back to our admin UI. Our connectors is installed. One last thing I'm going to talk about here is security group. If you need to modify your security groups and check your VPC route tables, there's some instruction here. Go ahead, click on read more to get more instructions. I'm going to click on next, and we're going to test to make sure we can connect to our connector. Here we go. We're connected. We get the green light here. So our connector is installed properly. Click on next. Now this page is information. Basically, it's going to give you some information about your network configuration, such as allocated WPC subnets and domain routing subnets and so on. So make a note of it, and then once you're done, go ahead, click on next. Going back to our slide, we did sign up subscription. We connect our network, install connector on AWS, and here we're going to configure application services. So application services, let's go back to admin UI, is where basically we're going to say, okay, this application server needs to be accessible through these protocols or ports, and then this is the domain name for it. So as you can see, for accounting, I type accounting, and for protocols, I'm going to choose HTTP, HTTPS, and ICMP, and I already typed the domain name to there. So I'm going to click on that. Now I need to add one more for time card. So I'm going to just type the time card here and then the domain, which is timecard.ovnlab.local. And I'm going to do the same thing for the ports or protocols. I'm just going to choose the HTTP, HTTPS, and ICMP. Again, this is how we're going to say what portion needs to be done or available for these applications to be accessible to our network. And then we're going to click on next. When it comes to add routes and IP services, this is where you can add any type of IP services that you need to add to your network. But for this demo, we don't need to do anything. So I'm going to scroll down to the bottom of the page and just click on next. Now, next here, we're going to get to configuring access groups. As you can see, we have the default full mesh access group. You can click on create access group or click on access in the menu and then click on groups. I'm not going to do that here. I'm going to do this later on because I want to show you how to create access policies after the fact. So I'm just going to leave it as default, and I'm going to go ahead, click on finish here. So our network is connected. As you can see, status is online. The name of the network is here, and the allocated WPC subnets are visible here. Our internet access split tunnel is on. Now, the next step is going to be configuring DNS. Basically, this is how we're going to say to CloudConnexa where these two servers are, the applications, the accounting server and timecard server. You have two options. You can enter your own DNS servers. I'm going to use the DNS records on WPC. So I'm going to click on the plus sign and then type the domain name, which the first one is going to be my accounting.ovnlab.local, and then I'm going to type the IP address. Here we go. There is no IPv6, so I'm going to click on create. One more, click on the plus sign, and we're going to do for the time card. Let me type that. Let me type that timecard.ovnlab.local, and I'm going to type the IP address here. And again, there is no IPv6, so I'm just going to click on create. So we created the DNS record. This way, we know where these two servers are. Now, we did the network, we did the application services, and we did the DNS. The next steps is creating groups and users. So let's go back to our admin UI. For creating users and groups, you need to expand users in the menu bar and then click on groups. This is where we're going to create groups. Now, I'm showing here just local provisioning, but CloudConnexa supports authentication using LDAP, for example, with Microsoft Active Directory, and SAML, such as OneLogin or Okta, and can map users to configured user groups based on the information receiving during the authentication. So again, I'm using local provisioning here. So in order to create groups here, I'm going to go ahead, click on create group. And then we're going to name this group. So contractors are going to be our first group. And then for the, here we go, let me make sure. Okay. Region and the internet access, I'm going to leave it as default for now. I'm going to click on create. Now, one more group we're going to create for accounting. So let's go ahead, type accounting. And then again, we're going to leave the region and internet access and everything else as default. Click on create. Oops, I have an extra space here. Let me go back. Okay, now create. So we got the two groups created. We can add users here if you want to. Just click on the group and then click on plus sign next to the users. But I'm going to show you how to create users under the users. So under users, there is another menu that says users. Coming here, click on create user, and you're going to type the username here. So for the first one, we're going to use Midas as a user. So let me go ahead, type the username here. And then first name, last name, and email is optional. I'm going to explain about the email in a second. Groups for Midas, we're going to choose the group that he's going to belong to. So drop down and choose contract accounting. I'm sorry. So, and then the roles, we want to make sure Midas is the member, not the admin. Click on create. Then we're going to create one more user here. And this one is going to be Max. Again, first name, last name is going to be optional. I'm going to leave it. Groups is contractors, and his role is a member. Again, click on create. We're going to create one more user, and that's going to be Debbie. Debbie is going to be part of the accounting, and then her role is member. And then one last one here, it's going to be Dave. Dave is going to be contractors, or part of contractors, and his role is member. Click on create, and we're done. Now, as I mentioned earlier, you can go ahead and create users in the group. So if I go to groups and click on contractors, for example, I can just click on that plus sign and add users and add it to this list, such as Dave and Max. So click on the plus sign, and the same thing, I'm just going to name a username. You don't have to worry about the groups because we're already on the groups. You just have to choose the role. So for example, if I want to create a user named Tim, I'm just going to type Tim. Again, user group, I don't have to worry about it because I'm already on the contractors. And then for the role, he's a member, and I'm going to click create. As you can see, Tim is added to the contractors. Now, if I go back to the users, I can see Tim here as well. So now users have a couple of ways to access or connect to WPC. If email is provided when you created the user is going to get automatically an invite email with Cloud ID URL and the instructions to download the client's app or client's connect app and get started. That's the easiest way to get users the information they need to connect directly using the Connect app. But here I'm going to show you a different way, and that's when administrator send the user the username, password, and the cloud portal URL, and we're going to see the user experience when the user logs into the CloudConnexa portal. So as an admin, you need to send the user the portal URL and the username and password. So if you can see in front of each username, there is a padlock. If you click on this padlock, you see multiple options, such as generating temporary password, show temporary password, and send temporary password by email. So for example, for Dave, if I click on show temporary password, you can see his temporary password here. Now you can copy this and send it to Dave. And then we can copy and send this portal password too. So let's go ahead and log into the portal as a user so we can see the experience that user is going to have. So I'm going to open another browser here for Dave. Let me bring up here, and I'm going to paste the address for the portal here, and we're going to be presented with the username and password. So we already sent Dave his username, which is Dave, and the temporary password. Now, very first time when he logs in, he's going to be asked to set up a password for himself. So Dave needs to create a password for himself. Let me type the password here. Oops, I made a mistake. Let me type again. Here we go. And then I need to confirm the password, and I need to agree to the terms of services and click on change password. So now Dave has a password. Now, once he logs into the user portal, he gets an option to install the Connect app based on his operating system. And then there's an instruction on how to configure the Connect app. Basically, he needs the portal address, the same portal address, and his username and password in order to configure the Connect app. So let's go ahead and let's say that Dave has a Windows operating system. So he clicks on this and download the Connect app for his operating system. I already have one here. Let me bring my Connect app on the screen and we can continue. So here we go. I have some profiles here. Just ignore that. Very first time when Dave gets that, he needs to click on the plus sign, this plus sign, to create his profile. So again, the address that he needs here for the URL is the same address as the portal. So I'm just going to copy on that, paste here, and oops, I get rid of this HTTPS, and then click on next. So now I need to type the username password. Dave is going to type his username and his password he just created and click on sign in. First time the user signs in, he needs to choose the region. Dave is in Atlanta, so he's going to choose the region closest to him. Obviously, Atlanta is the one. And then click on connect. As you can see, Dave is connected to our CloudConnexa now. So let me go ahead and disconnect so we can continue. Minimize this, and I'm going to close this screen. Going back to portal, the last step is creating the access policy and access group after we create the username and user group. As you can see, we already have a default full mesh access group here. That means that everybody has access to everything on our network. We need to delete this, but before we do that, we need to create an access group. So I'm going to create one for accounting here. And for the groups, I'm going to choose accounting. Remember, accounting members need to have access to accounting server only and nothing else. So choose the user group accounting. And now for the networks, I'm going to choose the accounting. And then click on create. Then, as you can see, the accounting is created here. I'm going to create another access group that's for the time card or for the contractors. So I'm just going to name this access policy time card. The groups are going to be contractors, and the network that they're going to access is going to be the time card. And then click on create. So now the time card access group is being created, so we need to delete the default full mesh access group. So select that and choose the delete button and remove this access group. So now we have only accounting and time card. In order to get these access groups or access policies in play, we need to change our topology on our WPC. In order to do that, you need to go to settings and then click on WPC. As you can see, the topology is set to full mesh. Click on edit and choose custom. Now, by choosing custom topology, access groups that we just created will be used in our CloudConnexa. Click on update and confirm. So we changed our topology to custom and we created our access groups as well. Looking at the steps again, we went through all these steps here, configuring application services, DNS groups, users, and we created the access groups. The last thing that we need to do is enabling Cyber Shield. So in order to enable Cyber Shield, you click on Shield in the menu bar of Admin UI. The first screen you're going to be presented is going to be domain filtering. Now, let me explain about the Cyber Shield here first before we move forward. CloudConnexa Shield provides you with a built-in intrusion detection system, IDS, as well as an intrusion protection system, or IPS, for your WPC. Now, when traffic filtering is turned on, Shield will act as an IDS and will monitor the traffic flowing through your WPC in order to provide you with the detailed statistics on traffic that is identified as a malware or bad. Now you can select different protection level to block certain traffics. So in addition to IDS and IPS functionality, Sheild also provides domain name system filtering or DNS filtering to protect your WPC users from malicious and unwanted websites, even if their internet traffic is not being carried by the WPC. DNS-based content filtering allows you, as the administrator, to block domain name resolutions of the websites that fall into unwanted categories, like the levels that you see here. Once blocking is enabled, the statistic of blocked domain events are presented. So you're going to choose the level that you would like to have for domain filtering first, and then click on enable. So again, this is traffic filtering. Traffic filtering is our IDS and IPS, intrusion protection system and intrusion detection system. With traffic filtering, when it's configured, Sheild will drop the packets of the traffic matching those of the blocked categories or priorities that you choose. So in order to enable traffic filtering, you're going to choose the protection level that you would like to have, and then you enable. One thing I need to make a note here: if you choose monitor only or the IDS, that's just monitoring, nothing's being blocked. So in order to have some protection, you want to choose another level, which is our intrusion prevention system or IPS. Click on enabled, and you already enabled the traffic and domain filtering, as you can see here. At any time, if you want to reconfigure this, you can just click on the edit button or this little pencil down here. And as you can see, for example, for traffic filtering, you can change the categories or priorities. And for domain filtering, you can change the protection level as well. Now, the nice thing about domain filtering, you have allow list and block list. You can allow certain domains or block certain domains, even if they don't fall into any of those categories. So that's basically how to configure your Cyber Shield. Again, looking at the slide and the steps, we went through all 9 steps here in order to configure our CloudConnexa. Now, the last thing that we need to do is connect and test. So going back to users, you got Dave, contractors, and Debbie on accounting. We're going to test with these 2 users. So let me bring my Connect app. Okay, this is my Connect app. I'm going to connect with Dave. Dave is part of contractors, so he should be able to access the time card and not the accounting. So I'm going to open a couple of tabs on my browser. First, let's go to time card. And here we go. Dave is able to access time card as expected because he had permissions. But let's try to see if he tries to access the accounting, what happens. You type accounting.ovnlab.local. And the site cannot be reached because he's not permitted to do so. So now we're going to connect with Debbie. Debbie is part of the accounting, so the permissions are vice versa. Debbie can access the accounting and not the time card. So let me bring up the Connect app here, and first we need to disconnect from Dave, and then I'm going to connect with Debbie. Okay, Debbie is connected. Again, I'm going to minimize this and open up a couple of browsers or a couple of tabs on my browser. And then first, let's go to accounting. Accounting available. Again, Debbie is permitted to access accounting, but let's see what happens to the time card. And let me paste that address here. And as you can see, the site cannot be reached because Debbie is not part of the contractors, so she's not allowed to access the page. So if looking at this slide, we went through all these steps for our use case, from sign up to subscription, installing connectors and application services, and so on. This was a demo end-to-end for remote access to our servers and setting up the access policies. I hope you enjoyed it. We have other videos, other instructions for more advanced configurations. I highly recommend you watch those videos. Thank you for your time, and we'll see you on another video.